CVM TV's weekly JPL preview show every Sunday, starting 30 minutes before our live broadcast. Get insight, analysis, and hear from your favorite players weekly, just before we bring you our feature broadcast for the day. Move from defense to attack and join us in the final third. This and every Sunday until the end of the JPL season.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out, don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Several ministries, departments and agencies of government have failed to submit on time their appropriations reports so that the Jamaican people, the taxpayer, me and you, and the Auditor General can verify the expenditures that they have partaken of over the fiscal year to see if they're spending our money as they have been approved to so do. It is a big problem, a problem that is causing us to not quite know how trillions of dollars apportioned at budget time are actually being spent by those in charge of the purses in these ministries, departments and agencies. I hear from an expert in the field of accountability. How can public officials do right by the Jamaican taxpayer? How can they observe the law where accountability for the spending of taxpayers' dollars is concerned? Join me today on Lead Story right now as I have this discussion. Story on this Thursday. My name is George Davis. Imagine running a business where the various units of the business who have been given budgetary sums, given budgetary allocations at the start of the fiscal year, are not able at the end of the fiscal year, as is required by company policy, to submit an account of their expenditure over the period so that the business can review how monies were spent, if monies were spent as they were approved, whether or not it is that the expenditure granted to you needs to be increased because the work that you have to do is not able to be serviced by the amounts allocated to you, or whether you've overspent and whether your spending needs to be reined in. Well, if you imagine that, and if you can imagine that in your frame of reference, which all of you can, I'm sure, then expand your thinking to think of the government. Think of the various ministries, departments and agencies who are given allocations at budget time, and as they are required by law, 4 months after the close of the fiscal year, they're required to submit to the Auditor General something called an appropriations report, so that the team at the Auditor General's department can go through and see if monies are being spent as per purpose, and to give us, the taxpayers, the chance to also look at those accounts, those reports, to see indeed if our money is being spent in the right way. For years, the neglect, the perhaps abuse of the rules, the flagrant breaking of the law has continued unchecked. And the Auditor General's latest annual report, serves up some rather distressing but not new findings about the inefficient way with which our ministries, departments and agencies are going about preparing accounts so that we can account for what they have been approved to spend over the fiscal year. And that's why we have turned today to the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, JAMP, for some perspective as to how we can move away from this. In one instance, there is a government entity that last submitted an appropriations report in 2002. That was 22 years ago. That was the last time they submitted something so that the verification could have been done. It's a totally unacceptable state of affairs. And yeah, we need to carry the discussion along, and people like myself need to remain a champion for the full disclosure and the timely submission of these documents so that taxpayers can see if their money is being well spent. So that's a mouthful in the introduction. It was necessary to set the foundation. These are not the sexy topics that usually dominate the news cycles, but these are perhaps even more important than a lot of the things that get us riled up and get us talking about the implications wherever it is that we choose to entertain ourselves or to relax within the company of friends or family. Jeanette Calder joins me now. She's the Executive Director of JAMP. And it is a serious discussion, Jeanette, and one that I am very happy that you have loaned me your time to try to explain the significance of for the Jamaican people. Good evening and welcome to Lead Story.
Good evening, George. Thank you very much. I thought your introduction was nothing short of excellent. You don't need me here this evening.
No. I do need you. I do need you. Here's the thing, Jeanette. Let's start at the top. Insofar as the law is concerned, is this something that is imposed upon only some MDAs, ministries, departments, agencies? You know it very well, but I'm just spelling it out for the viewers watching. Is it something that is imposed on some, or is it something that is blanketly required by the laws of Jamaica?
Blanketly required. It's the simple principle of this is not your funds, and if you get funds that are not yours to manage and spend on behalf of another, you have to report back to those persons. And I just want to make it very clear that the frame within which we work is that all the money in the bank belong to us. All the assets that the government owns belong to the people of Jamaica. So these are our hard-earned monies that we have turned over for the benefit of the society. And they simply are required to tell us what you do with the money at the end of the year. As you said, 4 months after the end of a fiscal year, you have an opportunity to let us know that you have spent according to the laws. And I'm glad you said according to the laws, because it has to be clear, George, that these are actually financial crimes we're talking about. It's legislation that is being broken, which translates into a crime, which translates into a criminal offense. So I just want that to be clear, because when you said this is serious, it is that serious.
Yeah. So here's this thing then. Okay. So with this legal requirement in place, what from your understanding of the situation as the Auditor General has reported it, has caused our good permanent secretaries and leaders in these ministries, departments and agencies to be so delinquent year after year?
My position is that, as you said before, all of them are required. We have 146 public companies or public bodies. We have, 15 ministries with several departments. They are not all on this list. It means that whatever bar the government, or rather whatever bar the Parliament has set for the government, it can be kept. Now, I am sure, George, that there are some here who might be able to explain to us what's going on for maybe a 2-year or a 3-year. But when you get to 9 years and you have received almost $1 billion, as is the case with the Ministry of Education, when you get to $695 billion for 10 years for the Ministry of Health, when you recognize that the Auditor General has been raising the red flag every year. Now, this is what you talk about context. This is the context I want your listeners to have. Who sets the laws in Jamaica? Our elected representatives, all the financial laws about how our money should be treated. Who sets the budget and approves how much, who must get and to do what for the people of Jamaica? Our elected representatives. So the Auditor General has a responsibility in law. She's the government's auditor, to send her report right back to the same persons who make the law and has a job to oversee the government. So the Parliament, George, has a responsibility after that budget is passed the end of March to spend the next 12 months watching the executive, providing oversight to ensure that the people's taxes are spent properly and according to the laws they have passed. So when you understand the extent to which they are involved in this, and these reports come to them every year, they should know what Ms. Calder knows. These reports are for our elected representatives. So even before we get to the ministries, departments, and agencies, George, if the Parliament of Jamaica is dysfunctional in executing their duties, then what you see happening in government is almost natural, meaning that everybody listening know if you're not overseeing your employees, they're gonna be abusing it. So Parliament's failure to oversee government is really at the heart of the problem here. I haven't even gotten to the MDAs as yet.
Yes, and to support the point that you're making, Jeanette, the fact is, that the Houses of Parliament itself is also delinquent with submitting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Frighteningly so, George. And the Office of the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And the Ministry of Finance. Now, those are the three crucial instruments or organs of the state responsible for protecting and guarding the assets of the people. OPM, Parliament itself, the Ministry of Finance, and to my surprise, the three of them are on the list.
Yeah, and just so we know how people think, just to be clear, the issues that the Auditor General would have highlighted in her reports and the annual delinquency and the severe delinquency in some cases, it cuts across administrations, across parties. So
Absolutely.
there's nobody with any moral authority to say you are not doing it right because they themselves didn't do it right. Here's the thing, Jeanette.
Important point. But George, might I just extend that a little bit? Let us say that we kept it within the bounds of this administration. It is no excuse. We have a what? An opposition.
Yes.
Has a job to stand up in the House and raise the red flag. So even if it was 1 year, 5 years, or we extended it beyond this administration, it does not take the opposition and their responsibilities off the hook. You understand what I'm making? That point?
And so I bring back this question, Jeanette, because people may be wondering to say, well, look, the fact that Ms. Calder says that there are several entities within the large body that have met the mark means the mark can be met. But there must be extenuating circumstances or other circumstances of other descriptors that causes so many others to be delinquent. What could some of those things be? I ask you the question because I have you here.
George, I don't have an answer, but I can tell you who should have an answer. No, this is an important point you've raised. The vehicle by which I am supposed to be able to answer that question is called the Public Accounts Committee. By that I mean, when the Auditor General sends her report, it goes straight to that committee. That committee has a duty of care to call in these very same entities and to ask them these very same questions so that an NGO such as mine that has committed to being the eyes and the ears for the people as it relates to their public finances should be able to answer that question. How many times has the Public Accounts Committee met in the last 12 months?
You tell me.
In May and in July of this year. Now, to be fair, both chairmen of the PAAC, the Public Administration and
Appropriations Committee,
and the Public Accounts Committee, these are the two chief committees that oversee projects and programs and ensure we get value for money, have been complaining about a challenge in getting what?
A quorum.
MPs to meetings, getting a quorum. George, let me ask you this question. How many people on average sit on a committee? 15, 16. What is the quorum for a PAC and a PAAC? 3, including the chair.
Yes.
Just to get 3 people in the House out of what, 15, we've only had 2 meetings. So, George, I cannot answer the question if the system doesn't work and the machinery doesn't work. So it is broken in several places, and my job is to bring attention to it so that we can do what you and I are doing here. Let the rest of the public know.
Yes, that's true. So here's the thing again. If it is that we are here where the Auditor General is citing these things cycle after cycle, the Houses of Parliament itself is delinquent, yes? The Office of the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Finance, as you correctly say, those 3 most vital of organs in the body of governance and politics and everything else. To whom are we to turn, Jeanette Calder, for some breakthrough, for some progress in these MDAs and related entities correcting their errant ways? Where are we to turn if the organs that are existing to manage and monitor the processes are not working, and then they are themselves some of the biggest delinquents on the list?
Well, I have to be honest, George, who I'm turning to today? I'm turning to the people of Jamaica. It's our money, it's our assets. We have hired everybody that you have just referred to. We pay those salaries every single solitary month. But at the end of the day, George, the truth of it is, I am making a call on the Prime Minister of Jamaica to superintend this. What is my call? Jamaica wants a plan of action as to what is the course of correction. By next week, Tuesday, I would like to have a skeletal frame as to how the Prime Minister himself is going to have to superintend this to ensure that it gets done. But here's my concern. I would like a plan of action for the people of Jamaica that the people can follow.
Yes.
What is going to happen in the next month? What is going to happen that we can check in, and George, you and I can, in 3 months, that we can measure and tick the boxes so that we can come back here and say to the people of Jamaica, it is happening. That's the kind of plan that Mr. Holness needs to come in as the leader of the country, the leader of the executive, and tell the people of Jamaica is how he's going to correct it. But here is my concern. We opened the year in January with the Gleaners headline saying there's a $1 trillion crisis.
Yes.
Nothing moved.
Yes.
JAMP has dug deeper and said it's 3.
Yes.
Now, George, between you and I, should 3 be more frightening than 1?
No. Especially where
so
trillion is involved.
So I am worried that if the people of Jamaica don't find a way to let the Prime Minister know how this is a betrayal of the people and their assets, then I don't think anything is going to move, unfortunately, George.
There you go. All right, we're at the point where we have to take the break, Jeanette. When we come back, we look at the practicality of the issue we are facing. She's made the call for the Prime Minister's intervention. She's also outlined how the intervention should be positioned. And yeah, let's see if the Prime Minister rises to the occasion. And let's, of course, as I said, explore the practicality of these ministries, departments, and agencies complying with the law. I can't believe I'm saying that. Ministries, departments, and agencies complying with the law. It seems ridiculous, but it's a situation at hand. Let's take the break on Lead Story here and come right back with more.
Truth is, avoiding care leads to a weaker immune system. That means you could get really sick. The truth is, the hardest pill to swallow isn't the medication. It's the problems that follow when you don't take them. Let's get through this together. Remain in care. You can live life to the fullest with HIV. And that's the truth. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Fan Central Pitchside, brought to you by EdgeChem, in Financial Corporation, Connect Services, Texaco, Jamaica Stock Exchange, and Sunshine Snacks.
Welcome back to Lead Story here on CVM TV. So within the past hour or so, there's been a story reported elsewhere that the Finance Minister, Favour Williams, has said, well, the situation is not desirable, yes, but the public should not leave with the impression that these ministries, departments, and agencies don't have a mechanism in place that facilitates the accounting for monies apportioned in the budget and how those monies are spent. She says, look, there are reports that are prepared monthly that are submitted to the Ministry of Finance from the ministries, departments, and agencies tracking how the funds apportioned are spent. And yes, it is an undesirable situation, she has stressed, but there are mechanisms where checks and balances are in place for the trillions that have been spent in our name over several fiscal years. Jeanette Calder, I welcome you back and ask you how you're digesting that response from the Honourable Minister of Finance.
You know, George, I'm really sorry I didn't remind myself of an interview that the current Minister of Finance did with another program a couple of months ago on the same matter when the news broke, as I shared in January. Because I did catch wind of it, I was not satisfied with the response of the minister then as the Minister of Education, who is also a serial offender here, and I'm not satisfied with that answer now. It's not a matter that it is not desirable. It is illegal and it is unlawful. So I just stop right there, but I'm going to read something to your listeners so that you understand the extent to which I am dissatisfied, not just with a member of the Parliament, but the current Minister of Finance. Listen to this. I didn't stop short at just sharing the matter of the lack of accountability because, George, let us be fair. and let us be clear.
Yes.
It is not saying the money is missing.
Yes.
We just don't know how it was spent. So when you look at all these ministries, has the Ministry of Health been operating? Education? Salaries being paid? Yes. But I want the listeners to be clear that whilst the Auditor General is speaking about the inability to advise us that all is well, she has been ringing alarm bells about many things in these ministries that are not well.
Yes.
So I came prepared. Let me just pick on the Ministry of Education that this minister is coming from. And this is the annual report for 2021 when Mrs. Williams was the minister. Hear this.
I think our feed froze just at the point where Jeanette Caller was going to go in to read from the annual report of the Ministry of Education. Of course, the Minister of Education then is the Minister of Finance now. And she has responded to say that, look, yeah, it's not a state of affairs that anybody can be proud of, but it's not as if the ministries are spending money left, right, and center unchecked. There are some checks and balances in place where monthly statements are made to support how the appropriations are being treated, and that it's a problem that the ministry and the government is working to fix, but there are checks and balances in place. That's the word from the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Favour Williams. Jeanette Calder is saying that no, she's not accepting that because it's not, the point being made almost makes it seem as if, well, it's not, desirable, but, we're just carrying on. She says, no, it's a blatant breaking of the law and the government ought not to be breaking the law. And then she's raising the point, she was going on to raise the point that in some ministries where the Auditor General and her team are not able to properly verify, to vet the monies that are spent, there are other questions asked about how those monies are spent, whereby if the appropriation reports were prepared as per, in keeping with the law, then the Auditor General's Department would have been in a position after examining those accounts to ask specific questions or to take specific issue with how spending is being done. But Jeanette Calder is saying because there are no appropriations reports to go off in the first place, then the whole thing just looks harum-scarum. It looks disorganized. In common parlance, it looks chaka-chaka. And so the Auditor General is not in a position to ask any serious questions about how monies are being spent. Even though we know that the ministries, departments, and agencies, their business continues. It's like a clutch of going concerns. The salaries are paid, so all the current expenditures are taken care of. Bills are paid, the light bill is paid, the water is paid, the internet, all of those things. The salaries are paid, the recurring things are taken care of. Projects are being implemented through various ministries, departments, and agencies. But there isn't what is required by law for the Auditor General to go in with a checklist and say, okay, this verified, that verified, none of those things. So that's the issue. I understand we've reconnected Jeanette Calder. There's still enough time for us. Jeanette, I wanted to read it because as you started reading, your screen froze. So go ahead.
Sorry. So 2021 annual report, the Ministry of Education purchased fixed assets totaling $963.3 million for the financial year 1920. However, the ministry did not maintain the requisite master inventory for all the assets under its control. George, that's $963 million. Now, folks might not understand why is that an issue. If you purchase $963 million and you don't record a thing, what do you think happens? So I can go down a list of a lot of the mismanagement that the Auditor General has captured. I have reams and reams of it. So while we are not saying the money is missing, what's the level of mismanagement that has been going on in these ministries? I can come back another evening and I can share all the reports. So George, you can put it to bed better than I can. Yes, we're not getting them accounted for, but if there are several procurement, several other financial laws that we can tick and go down and say, but the Auditor General is also flagging these ministers. It is not good enough to say to me, monthly, there are reports. The people of Jamaica and the Parliament must get those reports. And the Auditor General has to be satisfied.
So here's the thing that I imagine an ordinary person watching, well, just like you and me, taxpayers would be asking, to say that, look, these ministries, departments, and agencies, Jeanette Calder, George Davis, these are not small man, small woman operations. Yeah?
No.
These are things where you have internal auditors in a department, you have an accounts team, you have payroll, you have HR, you have a proper structure in these organizations. You can also procure the services of external auditors. You can even borrow them from within the government system.
Yeah.
Why is it that these ministries, departments, and agents can get their books in order for the annual budget call? That point when the finance minister says, look, send in your request for what you're going to need for the fiscal year so that we can make appropriations accordingly. So you can do that with your team and your staff within your structure, but you can't maintain a record to publish a report 4 months after the end of the fiscal year?
Unacceptable. I'll tell you this, George, before, and I'm sorry I don't have the quote up, but there's a quote from a PAC member, and the computer crashed and I won't find it back now, but I can come close to what he said. He said, we can't keep getting these reports over and over and over again like this. I couldn't run maths like this. I want to ask Mrs. Williams, with the greatest of respect, as someone coming from the private sector, if her company had been found to be out of compliance with the company's office for failure to report, and if her management team and her CEO failed for 1 year, 2 years in a row to come back to her and say, this is how I spent your hard-earned money, would Mrs. Williams respond in the way that she did today? And the answer is no. Not good enough for her business. It's not good enough for the country of Jamaica. I'm very disappointed in that, George.
Hear you on that. That's all the time we have, Jeanette Calder. I have to make space for the news at 7 o'clock. Thank you for your time, and we're not going to let this go. I want to join you. You know how you joined the little finger when you were children to play the games? We're joining because we have to champion this.
All right, George. Thank you.
We have to champion this. Thank you very much. That's JAMP's Jeanette Calder. So here's the thing, people. Jeanette Calder is dead right. The fact of the matter is that there are ministries, there are departments, there are agencies of government that have met the mark. What is the mark? The mark is what the law says. 4 months after the end of the fiscal year, your appropriation reports should have been submitted to the Auditor General. Yeah? So the fiscal year ends March 31 each year. You have 4 months after March 31 to get the report in order. There are several ministries, departments, and agencies together who've met that mark. There are so many who have not. That means the mark can be met. And the fact is, those things must be submitted. It's a reason, it's a legal requirement. It's not a favor we're asking any permanent secretary to do us at any ministry. It's not for anybody to oblige us, the Jamaican taxpayer, to provide these reports so that their spending can be tracked. It's a legal requirement for a reason. And I'm saying it's a very messy situation. As I said, there are parts of government where the last time they submitted an appropriations report was 2002, totally undesirable. It's a lot of work to clear the backlog, but that backlog must be cleared. All right? That's all I'm saying. I make way now for the news at 7 with Nika Lewis.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen. Where the difference is made. Where titles are decided. Where respect is earned. Excel here and you could go down. Texaco, Jamaica Stock Exchange, and Sunshine Snacks. No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Get Sagicor School Companion Health Plan for as little as $2,540 per month. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock. CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday. Brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
Tonight on CVM News at 7, state of emergency imposed in St. Andrew. 3 shot, 1 dead in vicinity of Grandspin, St. Andrew. And government earmarks $2 billion for emergency road repairs. In the business report, JSC Best Practices Awards, a template for national development. While in sports, Windows bowler fined for breaching ICC code.
News at 7 Headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Should critical illness strike, don't let worry fill your head. Say hello to happiness and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan. Secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness ahead of time while benefiting from our investment portfolio and so much more. Give yourself and your family the peace of mind you deserve with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan today. And live secure, live easy.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Thursday, December 5, 2024. Thanks so much for having joined us. Residents in sections of St. Andrew can now expect heavy police presence in their communities as the government steps up efforts to combat rising gang violence. The move comes as police intensify security operations and social intervention programs in a bid to restore safety to the affected areas. Chantae McNeil has our lead story.
A state of public emergency has been declared in 2 police divisions, St. Andrew South and parts of St. Andrew Central, as violent crime surges in areas like Waltham Park Road, Maxfield Avenue, and Waterhouse. The measure, approved by the Governor General, aims to curb gang violence and restore public safety through intensified security operations and social intervention programs targeting root causes. Acting Police Commissioner Michael Phipps has welcomed the move, emphasizing its necessity in addressing crime hotspots.
We welcome the state of public emergency at this time because when you look at the divisions of St. Andrew South and St. Andrew Central, we're having some challenges where criminal gangs have been creating mayhem across these 2 divisions. We have seen where our efforts have not sort of borne the fruits that we were hoping for. That is something that we're not prepared to really live with. And we believe that there is a need for very strong and resolute measures.
He detailed the affected areas.
The entire St. Andrew South, if you can look, the Olympic Gardens area, the sections of Maxfield Avenue down in Whitfield Town, Payne Avenue, right across to 2 miles, those areas, Waterhouse, have been giving some problems for quite a while now. If you look for the St. Andrew Central area, you will see the 75 lane going all the way up to 83 lanes have posed some concerns for us. The St. Andrew Central Division, as you can recall, those 5 persons who were killed in just one incident in a very small community.
But while this measure is being employed as a crime-fighting strategy, Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Andrew, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, who opposes the move, hopes it will not serve as a temporary fix to the country's crime problem.
I genuinely believe that the state of emergency is not an ideal crime-fighting tool, and that it is only a temporary measure and it is not a lasting solution. But at
The St. Andrew North Police are investigating the circumstances under which 3 people were this afternoon shot, 1 fatally, by criminals in Grandspin. The incident that transpired shortly after midday left 2 people, including a man and a woman, treating gunshot wounds. The deceased, a male, is yet to be identified. Preliminary reports suggest, however, the injured woman, a shopkeeper, was at her place of business on Barbican Road with two men who had stopped to make purchases when two armed men allegedly drove up on a motorcycle and opened fire, hitting all three. One of the men succumbed to his wounds. The others remain hospitalized. Meantime, up to late afternoon, motorists were being urged to avoid the Barbican area nearing the crime scene. Tensions were high in Homestead, St. Catherine Thursday morning as residents protested a fatal encounter involving police and a community member. The incident has prompted calls for answers and intervention from local leaders. Chantae McNeil has that story.
A fiery protest erupted early Thursday morning on Bobby Lane in Homestead, Spanish Town, as residents blocked roads to condemn the fatal shooting of a community member by security forces on Wednesday night. The deceased has been identified. 8-year-old Vernon Campbell, also known as Bald Head, a laborer from Old Harbor Road. The incident, which occurred, reportedly involved a confrontation where police alleged Campbell fired at them, prompting their arrest. Member of Parliament for St. Catherine South Central, Andrew Wheatley, expressed shock over the incident.
Unless I am seriously mistaken, I don't know him to be a person involved in crime and violence, to the best of my knowledge. And that is the reason why the community is so anxious right now. The allegation is that cameras were torn down and removed from businesses by the police. Allegation again that person's phones were searched and were videoing and things deleted. Again, as I stated, allegation. And I do hope that when the authority do the investigation, that the truth will be unearthed.
While acknowledging residents' frustration, Wheatley is urging them to cooperate with the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, which is now probing the matter.
I do hope that the citizens will cooperate with the investigators, especially INDECOM, to ensure that we unearth the truth as to what took place last night. I have stated earlier in discussion with the residents that you have a right to express yourself, but you have to do that within the context of the law. You cannot lock the roads.
Meanwhile, INDECOM, in a statement, confirmed the investigation and disclosed that no body-worn cameras were issued to the officers involved. The agency reported that a firearm was recovered from the scene and assured that a full examination of evidence is underway. Chantae McNeil, CVM News.
Under the $45 billion Shared Prosperity through Accelerated Improvement to our Road Network SPARK program are taking shape, with $36 billion in contracts signed today to overhaul over 600 roads across the country. Ramon Gordon has the latest.
I'm sure, Madam Speaker, that all members would be very happy to hear this statement.
Last year, Prime Minister Andrew Holness touted the SPARK program, a $45 billion plan to overhaul roads across Jamaica. Today, that vision took a decisive step forward as $36 billion in contracts were signed to kickstart construction this month.
If it could start tomorrow, I'd be the happiest person. I am told that there is a date in mind, but I'm not going to say what that date is. When we are certain, and that can only be when the backhoe is on the site, then we will say we have begun.
The contracts awarded to China Harbour Engineering Company Czech after a bidding process cover 4 packages spanning major thoroughfares and community roads. Work is expected to take 2 years, with an additional year for defect repairs.
The NAA will be responsible for the management and implementation of all works. They will be supported by teams of engineers, consultants and other technical professionals, so we expect that there will be sufficient oversight of the work of the contractors.
In June, opposition spokesperson on national security Peter Bunting labelled the SPARK program a con, while Portmore Deputy Mayor Alaric Campbell argued that municipal corporations, not the National Works Agency, should oversee community road repairs. Responding to earlier queries about delays in naming a contractor, Holness says his administration was following the rules.
I see MP McNeil Phillips here, who asked me a question in Parliament, when are we going to name who was the successful bidder? And because we wanted to be in absolute compliance with the rules, we did not disclose who the successful bidder was until we had completed what was required of us from a legal standpoint.
The project's total cost is $45 billion, including $5 billion for water infrastructure upgrades. Public consultations shaped road selection, and a new monitoring platform will allow citizens to track progress and report issues.
Now, Madam Speaker, there have been times past where we borrowed money for these kinds of programs. This time, I feel we money this.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has declared Jamaica's road situation a national emergency, announcing a $2 billion allocation for immediate repairs to the main road network. The announcement came at a media briefing on Thursday. Also in the news, the opposition People's National Party is calling for greater stakeholder involvement to improve business continuity and working conditions for craft vendors. This conclusion came after a tour of the Ocherius Craft Market in St. Anne, a promenade which has been the subject of much discussion on Wednesday. With more, here's Courtney Lewis.
Following a series of protests from disgruntled craft vendors in the Ocherius Craft Market in St. Anne, the opposition leader Mark Golding is making an appeal for a solution to vendors' concerns. During a tour of the market on Wednesday, Golding highlighted major issues, calling for conversations with the tourism ministry and stakeholders.
We have to find ways of giving you access. For example, why can't we have tours for the craft industry tours that and buses are provided to facilitate tourists coming here? Why can't that be done? You know, why can't you be given greater levels of access and to the pier itself? And also, you know, these other arrangements, we need to really look at that and talk to the players and say everybody has to eat our food.
He says lack of policy has led to unfavorable selling conditions.
Infrastructure issues, the physical plant, the conditions in which people have to sell are not conducive to a thriving market. You know, there's not wheelchair access, all sorts of problems of that nature. The transfer of businesses from generation to generation of families that we'd have to call craft families, families that have established themselves in the craft industry. And that should be facilitated, not made difficult.
The opposition spokesperson on tourism, Senator Janice Allen, says the concern is island-wide.
We see it in Montego Bay, we see it in Negril, and we see here in Ocherius, and certainly this is an area of priority for us. The Tourism Enhancement Fund was developed for that reason, to reinvest in the tourism product, and the tourism product includes craft. It includes various elements that are vital to the industry. So we have a lot of work to do.
The opposition is also urging the development of policy to boost the sale of authentic Jamaican merchandise. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
There's more CVM News at 7 right after this break.
No space with course today, enough prices and giveaways. Give Sender Course Christmas tree, shop at Course to get entries.
Spend $65,000 or more at Courts on cash or credit and automatically enter to be one of 4 lucky winners this Christmas. Shop at Courts in-store or online between October 28 to December 21 and you could win new things for the new year. A home upgrade, bedroom, lounge set and dining set, Samsung fridge, stove, microwave, washer and dryer.
Play your space with Course today.
Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
Where the difference is made. Where titles are decided. Where respect is earned. Excel here and you could go down in history. It's the final third. CVM TV's weekly JPL preview show every Sunday, starting 30 minutes before our live broadcast. Get insight, analysis, and hear from your favorite players weekly just before we bring you our feature broadcast for the day. Move from defense to attack and join us in the final third. This and every Sunday until the end of the JPL season.
Welcome back. Licensees in the betting, gaming and lottery arena are expected to have more seamless processes as the Betting, Gaming and Lottery Commission, the BGLC, has upgraded its information system. Adrian Williams shares the play in this report.
The global gaming market size was valued at US $249.55 billion in 2022 and is anticipated to grow from US $281.77 billion in 2023 to just over USD $665 billion by 2030. That's according to Fortune Business Insights. With fortunes so rich, the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission, BGLC in Jamaica, has made the move to improve its licensing system following a scheduled temporary service interruption on November 29. The Commission sees the move to upgrade the Gaming Management Information System, GMIS, as representing a major step in improving and modernizing the company's service delivery. ICT Project Manager at BGLC, Dwayne Walters, shares how this upgrade is expected to benefit the licensing process.
Internally, we are looking to improve the efficiencies of our processes, which will then translate to greater efficiency for the stakeholders, our customers. And the second part of that, we will now have an online portal that will facilitate applications, amendments, renewals, without having to come to the offices of the BGLC.
The due diligence processes have been improved as this is the first step of the customer's licensing process. Hence, an integration of all other processes will be done. The upgrades came from the technical feedback from licensees, but why the GMIS in particular?
In GOJ, Government of Jamaica, and as part of acquiring any system, there is a procurement procedure. So following that procurement procedure, this platform came out on top.
With these plans now implemented, will there be further upgrades to come?
There are future plans, and as we speak now, we are looking to chart a roadmap, given that we are now somewhat live, or we have gone live as of December the 2nd. We are reviewing some enhancements to chart a roadmap to roll out additional features in the coming year. However, given that we have gone live with the Gaming Management Information System, the hope is that over time, in a short order, probably within a year, we'll have more traction on the customer portal, and that will reduce the need for the licensing team to be out in the field doing this work.
Data shows total government revenue from betting, lottery and gaming reached $2.944 billion, showing a decline of 7.6% over the comparative quarter of 2022. Adrian Williams reporting for CVM News.
The Planning Institute of Jamaica is suggesting special attention be paid to infrastructure development and crime rates in order to build resilience. The recommendations come after the agency tabled a report highlighting barriers to Jamaica's growth in a parliamentary committee meeting on Thursday. With more details, here again is Courtney Lewis. And we'll get back to that. But the tourist sector is shaping up to meet a 4 million guest arrival target by the end of the year. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett spoke at the annual Tech Beach retreat in Montego Bay, St. James, saying tourism is the biggest avenue to wealth among people all over the world.
The Planning Institute of Jamaica, the PIOJ, is highlighting gaps in productivity across various sectors like agriculture and manufacturing. In an Economy and Production Parliamentary Committee meeting on Thursday, the chairman broke down concerns, naming climate change and aging infrastructure as some key inhibitors.
Note that agriculture is characterized by small-scale farmers who operate informally, which has made it difficult for farmers to take advantage of economies of scale and has limited their ability to access well-needed credit to modernize operations. There's a reliance on aging infrastructure and outdated technology and equipment. This contributes to inefficiencies in extraction, processing, and transportation, leading to higher operational costs and longer downtimes.
Similar concerns plague the trade and mining sector, leading to an increase in imports despite growing capital. To close the productivity gap, the PIOJ recommends research and infrastructure improvement.
It is essential to adopt digital skills through comprehensive staff training and the widespread implementation of these skills across educational institutions. There is need to improve road, sea, and air connectivity, as well as develop reliable electricity and water supply.
He notes the hindrances to growth don't rule out a Vision 2030 goal, but South St. Catherine MP Fitz Jackson points to mismanaged funds and resources.
So much amount of road, so much amount of water you need to bring in the system, so much amount of electricity. It's not opinionated. It's real, it's measurable. Where are we in the budget process in prioritizing these? And the absence of that, Chairman, caused our people, the public, to become cynical of us as government.
But Henry is reinforcing confidence, noting economic and social growth barriers are complex and the country remains resilient.
The truth is we have made tremendous progress. And it's important to say it because, again, relative to many countries, Jamaica had, just before COVID, we had 67% of the targets in terms of progress towards achieving SDGs. Many countries have come out of COVID-19 with even greater levels of indebtedness, and Jamaica is not one of them. Well, that says a lot.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
Thank you, Courtney, and backpedaling there because we told you that the Planning Institute of Jamaica was suggesting special attention must be paid to infrastructure development and crime rates in order to build resilience. And those recommendations you would have heard came after the agency tabled a report highlighting barriers to Jamaica's growth in a parliamentary committee meeting earlier today. So we take a quick break. There's more to come.
From iCreate Limited to Kintyre Holdings, we are embracing a future full of possibilities where innovation meets growth and opportunities are endless. Kintyre Holdings emerges as a diversified powerhouse, driving growth across key sectors such as real estate, fintech, technology, advertising, and tourism. Kintyre Holdings isn't just rebranding. We are building a future of innovation, impact, and growth for Jamaica, the Caribbean, and beyond. Kintyre Holdings. See, believe, achieve. Visit our website, kintyre.holdings, for more information.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen. Fan Central Pitchside, brought to you by Edgecam, in financial cooperation, Connex Services, Texaco, Jamaica Stock Exchange, and Sunshine Snacks.
Welcome back. Let's now check for social media happenings. So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? Prime Minister Andrew Holness today announced that Jamaica's government is launching a $2 billion road repair program to fix damage from recent weather events. This initiative, set to begin in December 2024, aims to restore main roads, improve safety, support economic activity, and provide relief to citizens who rely on these daily routes. Here are some of your reactions. At Williams_Shan writes, stop patching the roads and fix them properly. At Mantalk17 states, right now all our roads are made of patches. Sir, them want dig up and put back down. At Shane Legend 2000 posts, well, we can't go anywhere this Christmas. There will already be an increase in vehicular traffic, plus roadworks. At standup_Jamaica says, our hard-earned tax dollars working for us. Thank you, Mr. PM. At truthonly_7 adds, this will be $2 billion washed away by the next heavy rain into the pockets of the road patching contractors. We need to check the design of Jamaican roads. And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and CVM_television on Instagram. I'm Courtney Lewis. Welcome back. It's now time for regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. A groundbreaking discovery has been made in the heart of Guyana, where scientists have identified new species of plants and animals following the largest ever local expedition. The unprecedented research effort has unveiled previously unknown life forms, shedding light on the rich biodiversity of the region and opening the door to further exploration and conservation efforts. Newsroom Guyana provides the report.
Expedition leader and lead conservation ecologist in the Chicago Museum, Dr. Leslie D'Souza, said Guyana is a global hotspot for biodiversity and harbors one of the best protected tracts of rainforest on Earth.
In terms of initial findings from this rapid inventory, we found over 710 species of vertebrates, over 400 species of plants, 22 species new records to Guyana, never before recorded in Guyana. 23 species might be new to science, and 16 are globally threatened. This is only the preliminary, and so our scientists will have to take these specimens to the museum, do DNA sequencing in order to fully understand the scale of the biodiversity in this corridor. And the idea and the hopes and the goals is that this information can be utilized by decision makers as they're considering priority areas for conservation in Guyana. Guyana is committed to the conservation and the expansion of the National Protected Area System, and this is a project in collaboration with the Protected Areas Commission for considering areas within Guyana for conservation and protection.
The need to pool procurement resources has been highlighted by Prime Minister Mia Mottley as a critical component of the energy transition efforts of Caribbean nations. She made the point during a 3-day Caribbean high-level forum on managing the energy transition, a joint initiative of the Barbados government and the International Monetary Fund. We hear more from CBC News Barbados.
If ever there was a time for pooled investment, it is in the area of renewable energy.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley stresses the point as she addresses the high-level meeting that includes Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, government ministers and officials from other Caribbean nations, bankers, academics, and other stakeholders. She contends that pooling the resources would allow them to command the investment and technology necessary to effect a serious transition. Ms. Mottley also suggests how they should go about it.
simply that instead of meeting a few times a year and talking about other matters, that we also add now to the scope of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas the issue of energy, and in particular renewable energy. And I truly believe that if we, over the course of the next few months, can do that, then we can begin to see the possibility of real change and transformation in this region, as well as protect.
Stay with us for so much more after the break.
However you want, KFC is finger-licking good. The time by KFC is...
Our days get a little complex sometimes. Often so many things make sense, yet so many do not. We are being intentional about giving prominence to the big stories in order to clarify and enlighten. Lead Story explains who, what, when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
The Carpet Store. We bring comfort to every step with flooring that blends softness and style. From carpets and rugs to durable vinyl flooring and expert installation services, we have everything you need to transform your space. And when it's time for a refresh, our carpet and upholstery cleaning service brings your flooring back to life. Visit us at 18 Dunbarton Avenue, Kingston. The Carpet Store, because you deserve the best.
Welcome back now to the Business Report.
Lots to share with you in the Business Report today. From an event which has brought prestige to members of Jamaica's business community on the first Wednesday in December for the past 20 years. The JSE Best Practices Awards, which was established in 2004, is an event that was designed to promote best practice standards for the companies listed on the stock exchange, with awards in recognition of 6 categories of annual performance. However, the 2024 staging held on Wednesday, December 4, holds a deeper significance, as it coincides with the official retirement date of arguably one of the stock exchange's greatest ever advocates, Managing Director Dr. Marlene Street Forrest, under whose stellar leadership since her appointment to the role in 2002 has seen the JSE's establishment as one of the largest stock exchanges in the Caribbean, both in size and market capitalization, the creation of a junior market, while also being named the world's best performing stock market twice. Though Dr. Street Forrest will remain in office for a little while longer to ensure a smooth transition in what may be her final address to the awards, her passion and commitment to the ideals she has championed were as evident as ever.
Tonight, we celebrate 2 decades recognizing excellence, innovation, and resilience among companies and institutions that drive our capital markets. This evening is a testament of the vision that we set out to achieve 20 years ago. That is,